Close your eyes for a moment, imagine a world with no skyscrapers, no borders, no name called America. Only endless forests, wild rivers, and footsteps of people who called this land home long before history even had a map. They hunted under the stars, whispered stories to the wind, and believed the earth itself was alive. But one day, sails appeared on the horizon, white ghosts on blue water, and from that moment on, nothing would ever be the same again. 15,000 years ago, they say, the first humans crossed a frozen bridge of ice between Asia and North America, following herds, chasing survival. Generations passed. Tribes rose. Cultures flourished. Then, in 1492, an Italian sailor named Christopher Columbus sailed west, searching for Asia. What he found instead was destiny. He believed he had reached India, and called the people here Indians. But the truth? He had discovered an entire world that already had its own heartbeat, its own soul. His arrival opened the gates, not just to explorers, but to conquerors, dreamers, and empires hungry for land and power. Spain claimed the Golden South, England and France took the wild North. Ships arrived filled with soldiers, settlers, and hope, but along with food, tools, and faith, they brought disease. Invisible killers that silenced millions of native lives. Still, new colonies began to rise from the wilderness. In 1607, the English planted their first permanent flag in Jamestown, Virginia. Harsh winters, hunger, and death almost wiped them out, yet they survived. And soon came others, pilgrims fleeing persecution. Crossing the ocean in a wooden ship called the Mayflower, they landed in the snow-covered shores of Massachusetts and, with the help of Native Americans, celebrated the first Thanksgiving. A fragile peace before centuries of conflict. By the 1700s, America was no longer a secret point. 13 colonies stretched along the Atlantic, each alive with promise. Fishermen in the cold New England seas, farmers in the Golden South, traders in the bustling cities of New York and Philadelphia. To many, it was paradise, a place where you could start over, build, belong. But paradise had a price. England ruled from across the ocean, demanding taxes and obedience. The people here had no voice, no vote. And so they began to whisper words no king ever wants to hear: freedom. Those whispers grew louder, until one night, men disguised as native warriors boarded British ships and dumped crates of tea into the cold Boston harbor. That splash echoed louder than any cannon. Soon, it was war. Ordinary farmers became soldiers. Their leader, a man named George Washington. Their dream, a world where every person could live free. And in 1776, with trembling hands and burning hearts, they signed a declaration that began with these words: "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." The revolution had begun. Against impossible odds, they fought one of the greatest empires on earth, and in 1783, Britain finally bowed to a new name, the United States of America. A nation born not of bloodlines, but of belief. They wrote a constitution, elected George Washington as their first president, and tried to build a country on freedom, equality, and democracy. But equality was still a dream denied to many. Enslaved Africans, Native Americans, and women were left in the shadows of the liberty they helped build. Still, the young nation hungered for more. It bought new lands, like the Louisiana Purchase, doubling its size overnight. Explorers Lewis and Clark set out across untamed frontiers with the help of a brave native woman, Sacagawea. Families packed wagons, chasing what they called manifest destiny, the belief that America was fated to stretch from ocean to ocean. But destiny for some meant devastation for others. Native tribes were driven from their homes, their voices lost beneath the march of progress. From rebellion to revolution, from freedom to contradiction, America's story is not simple. It's a struggle between ideals and reality, between what was promised and what was practiced. Yet from every hardship, the nation learned, adapted, grew. It is still growing, and maybe that's what makes America truly unique. It was never just a place. It was an idea. That even in the darkest night, a spark of hope can light a continent.